It starts with one customer, just one. They walk into a store, grab 2 extra boxes of cereal, and walk out. No panic, no hoarding, just a slightly larger purchase than usual. The cashier restocks. The store manager notices a small dip in inventory and places a slightly larger order. The distributor sees that bump and increases their next shipment. The manufacturer ramps up production, and before anyone realizes what's happening, the factory is working overtime, raw material demand is spiking, warehouses are full, and the shelves back at the store are overflowing with cereal no one's buying anymore. This is the bullwhip effect, and today, on Daily Logistics, we're unpacking how small ripples at the consumer level turn into giant waves upstream, crashing entire supply chains in the process. At its core, the bullwhip effect is a chain reaction of overreaction. It starts with a small fluctuation in demand and ends with bloated inventory, overproduction, and wasted money. The name comes from an actual bullwhip. Flick your wrist just a little, and the whip's tail snaps violently at the other end. Same thing in supply chains. A small shift in customer behavior creates amplified reactions at every level above. This isn't just theory. It happens every day, in retail, automotive, food, pharma, everywhere. And the scary part? You don't always see it coming until it's too late. Remember when toilet paper disappeared overnight in 2020? Customers bought a little more than usual, not even hoarding yet. Stores noticed shelves going empty faster and started ordering double their usual quantities. Distributors scrambled to keep up. Manufacturers added night shifts. Raw material orders jumped. Within weeks, the whole pipeline was under stress, not because demand exploded, but because everyone upstream assumed it had. Then what happened? Demand stabilized. Customers already had what they needed. But the supply chain kept producing for a spike that no longer existed. Warehouses were packed, retailers were overstocked, and prices spiked for no reason other than miscommunication and panic math. That's the bullwhip, in action. The bullwhip effect isn't caused by machines. It's caused by people reacting to people, usually with the best intentions. A store manager sees a dip in stock and thinks, better order more just in case. The distributor gets that bigger order and assumes demand is rising. The manufacturer sees multiple distributors doing the same thing and thinks, let's scale up production fast. Each level is playing defensive. No one wants to be the bottleneck. No one wants to run out. But without clear data from the source, the actual customer behavior, every guess gets bigger than the last. And suddenly, your supply chain isn't just responding. It's overreacting. Once the bullwhip starts, it gets messy fast. Factories increase output based on false demand signals. Suppliers scramble to provide more raw materials. Trucking schedules shift to handle extra loads. Warehouses start filling faster than they empty. And then, the real demand curve levels out, or even drops. Now you've got excess inventory that needs to be stored, raw materials that can't be returned, labor costs that can't be recovered, logistics costs that spiral out of control. Even worse, trust breaks down. Retailers blame distributors. Distributors blame manufacturers. Everyone gets defensive, and no one admits the system overreacted to a blip. That's how small errors turn into supply chain crashes. Not because of a broken machine, but because of amplified human guesses. Have you ever seen this happen firsthand? Maybe you work in retail, or maybe you've been in a warehouse during a sudden product spike that made no sense. Drop a comment if you've watched one small demand shift turn into a full-blown overstock problem. And hey, if you're learning this for the first time, subscribe to Daily Logistics. We don't do the usual buzzwords. We break the real stuff down. Back to it. Here's the thing. The bullwhip isn't always obvious. Sometimes it hides in places you don't expect, like promotions. Let's say a retailer runs a 2-day discount on dog food. Sales triple. Upstream, everyone sees the numbers and assumes there's long-term growth in pet supplies. More inventory gets ordered. Production spikes. But the demand disappears once the sale ends. or seasonal trends. One year's strong Christmas demand causes manufacturers to overproduce the following year, only to see returns pile up in January. The bullwhip also creeps in during panic seasons, when companies build safety stock without updating the real demand forecast. It's not one big mistake. It's dozens of small, well-meaning misreads stacking up like bricks. The good news? You can't always stop the bullwhip, but you can dampen it. Smart supply chains do a few things differently. They share real-time data across the chain. If the retailer shares actual customer scan data with the distributor, there's less guesswork. If the distributor shares shipment flow with the manufacturer, production stays aligned. They collaborate instead of isolate. The best-performing chains don't treat each stage as a separate silo. They act like one system, not 5 companies passing paper back and forth. They automate forecasting, but humanize the exceptions. AI and ERP systems help, but it takes people to ask, are we reacting to real demand or just a fear spike? They teach everyone to zoom out. Instead of reacting to today's sales report, they ask, what does the trend look like over 4 weeks, 8 weeks, a year? Because the bullwhip lives in the short term and dies in the long view. Even with all the tech, the training, the dashboards, the bullwhip still sneaks in. Why? Because most businesses are afraid to be underprepared. They'd rather be overstocked and overpaid than short on product and short on answers. So the cycle continues. We overreact, we overspend, we scramble to course correct. And by the time we've fixed it, the market has moved again. The bullwhip effect isn't just a fancy term for supply chain textbooks. It's real, it's expensive, and it happens every day because people in different parts of the chain stop communicating clearly. If you want to work in logistics, or you already do, you're going to see this up close. And now, when you do, you'll know what it is. More importantly, you'll know how to stop it before it gets worse. This is Daily Logistics, and if this helped you connect the dots, hit like, drop a comment if you've ever been hit by the bullwhip, and subscribe so we can keep breaking these stories down together. Until next time, keep your signals clear and your chain stronger.